But yeah, thanks for joining us and congrats on the win. I'm sure you've had like millions of messages. But now you're home in England, I presume. Like how does it feel to finally be an LET winner?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it feels amazing. It feels kind of a relief as well, I guess, because I've been so close so many times and I've had a lot of good finishes in the past, and I just haven't ever really got quite over the line. Haven't really felt things have fallen my way in the past, and I guess it kind of all came together at the right time in Morocco.
Yeah. What do you think the difference was? I know it's such a stacked leaderboard, but you mentioned the close calls in the past. So what was perhaps different about this week?
Um, to be honest, I felt really good about my game. And I was kind of just, I think because I've had close calls in the past, I kind of took that as, well, eventually something's going to fall my way, and if I just stay patient and stop trying to force it, which I kind of did a bit last year. If I just relax about it and just accept that, those putts will go in eventually, because the final round in Morocco, I honestly was holding absolutely nothing, and I was getting so frustrated, hitting really good shots really tight to the pin, and just wasn't getting anything out of it, until eventually on the 15th hole, I had three birdies in a row, all of a similar length. And it kind of said to me, right, well, that was real patience to actually wait to that point. And it ended up being the most key point of the round, because it got me into the lead. Um, so yeah, I think patience has been the biggest takeaway, really.
Yeah, playoff with Dixia, someone you know well, someone you played with a ton before. You had the playoff with Christina Napoli over in Germany, which I guess probably helped if you've been in that situation, but I wouldn't know. So just talk to me about what the emotions are like when you realize you tie for the lead and you're walking back to 18th for the playoff. Like how was that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, because it was so stacked, you're always sort of fighting against everyone else. You don't really know where everyone else is. So I was just trying to, continue making the birdies and get to the best score that I could at the end. And then, obviously, I was walking down 18, the leaderboard was there, and I saw that Diksha was already in at -9. And I was actually in a tricky spot in the bunker on 18, so I knew, right, I actually need to make par. It's not even making birdie to win the tournament now. It's let's make par, and get into a playoff. Um, and yeah, obviously, so that was my first thought, to really secure that par, and it was not an easy par. It was a good par in the end. And then obviously walking, knowing that I was obviously going up against Diksha, which, yeah, as you said, I've played with many times, and you can never rule her out. She's a fantastic player, and her short game is absolutely world class. So even when she hit her approach shot I hit a bit of a dodgy drive. I didn't want to go in the bunker right, so I've kind of pulled it a little bit left towards the hazard and got a good bounce, and I'm sort of on the upslope. She's in the middle of the fairway and she plays first, and I'm already thinking now, right? She's got one up on me, really, from the middle of the fairway. I've got a pretty tricky lie on a massive upslope in thick rough. And then I saw she pulled her shot a bit left, and I didn't see where it had finished, obviously, because it's sort of gone slightly over the green. But her short game is so good that there was no point where I ever thought she's not going to make par. She's going to somehow get that up and down. So I still need to execute this iron shot. I need to get it on the green, and I need to make four. And the ball just came out absolutely perfect. I didn't really feel any nerves, because I think I'd done it before. I I wasn't feeling the emotions of, I have to win this. It's more of, let it play it out, get in your moment, do your routine, execute each shot, rather than thinking about the whole hole of a playoff, or however many holes it might have been, but just each shot as it comes. And I think, yeah, the shot hit into the green was obviously the moment for me, really. It just literally didn't leave the flag. It was just absolutely perfect. It didn't have any shape on it at all, which I couldn't believe, because it's proper thick rough. So I thought it might have come out a little left, which is why I was aiming at the pin. I was actually thinking it was going to move. It was going to finish sort of 20 foot, 30 foot left of the pin, because the club was going to slightly shut in that thick rough, and it didn't, and it just came out absolutely perfect. So yeah.
Yeah, and you get the win and you get one of the coolest trophies and you get to receive it alongside Miguel Angel Jimenez. We don't get to go to that ceremony because it's just so high level with the prince and everything. So I mean, what was that whole experience like?
It was actually mad. I mean, from the moment we finished, you're sort of, rushed away, chauffeured away, and then you got seated right underneath the big stage of where the prince was, in a seat, and you're sort of waiting for Miguel to finish on 18. They were coming up 18. You kind of just sat there with, all the Secret Service all around you, whispering in your ear, can't do this, can't do that, make sure you do all the protocols. Obviously with the prince being there and all the delegates as well that were also there. And then the presentation was extremely formal. Obviously nothing that I've experienced before, really off the cuff. I mean, I had to do a speech, which I didn't really know I had to do a speech, so I was sort of making that up as I went along. I actually saw, it must have been Miguel's agent or someone. He then, obviously, when he finished, he sat beside me, and someone handed him a piece of paper, which was basically a speech. So, all the bullet points of what he needs to mention, who he needs to thank. So I was kind of like side-eyeing that, so I could actually look at the things that I also needed to say and make sure I didn't get things wrong.
Yeah,
But yeah, it was
I'm sure
really,
you're a natural. I'm sure you were fine.
I mean, yeah, I have done a bit of public speaking in the past, like at uni and stuff, so I think I kind of got away with it. But I think I was a little flustered maybe to begin with. But I think I thanked everyone that I needed to thank, and I think I said the king's name correctly. That was
The big
that
one,
was
yeah.
the most important part, yeah. But he seemed to acknowledge me and nod and smile, so I think hopefully I did a good job.
I'm sure you did. And you mentioned one legend there in Jimenez. I heard you on because you were doing commentary in Riyadh last week. By the way, I thought you were really good. I enjoyed listening to you. But I heard you mentioned about Retief Goosen and the story there
Yeah.
in the build up to the event. So just talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Retief and I go back probably maybe 5 years, pre-COVID, just before I turned professional. And we shared a physio in common, I guess. That's sort of our mutual friend. My physio, Sasha, used to do a lot of work with Retief back in the day. And I've been seeing her for over 10 years. I'm super close with her. She kind of set up a game back in, 5 or 6 years ago, and we kind of relationship went on from there really, and he's sort of took me under his wing. Spend most Januaries out there with him and his family at Arworth, practicing in Florida, and get to pick his brains, play with him as much as I can. He's obviously gearing up usually for his start of his season on the Champions Tour, which usually starts in Hawaii. So yeah, we have a great relationship, and obviously then having been with him in this January, then I virtually flew straight to Morocco, and he did, but on the chartered plane, not quite on the plane that I was on. But it was, I had a few dinners with him, and had a dinner with him the night before we played the final round, and he wasn't doing great. He hadn't had a great week, but still upbeat, and he sort of wanted to have a bottle of wine, and I said, "Oh no, I don't. No, I don't drink in tournaments. Like, well, I don't really drink in general. So, certainly not really at a tournament." But he was, "I'll go on like one glass of wine. You'll be fine. It'll relax you." And so we had a lovely time, and then obviously went out the next day. And virtually the first text message I had on my phone was from him saying, "Must have been the glass of wine." So yeah, it was cool to have him there though as well, and have to win, because he's been really generous to me over many years. He's helped me out like financially as well. So he's been a big part of my professional career so far.
Yeah, that's really nice. And you mentioned your phone then. You must have had how many sort of text messages are we talking here?
I mean, I must have had about 60 or 70 WhatsApps.
Yeah.
Instagram was crazy. I literally couldn't even go on Instagram. And then obviously regular text messages from golf club members, and my golf club I have a lot of support from my golf club, so I think they were super super happy, and they've been following along for many years, and um, I've had a lot of support from them, so I think it was really nice as well to have to do it for them as well, and have celebrate. Hopefully, we've got a big sort of swan song thing on the weekend, like at the golf club, so I think it'll be a bit of a celebration there as well.
Okay, yeah, that was going to be my question because you're in a nice spot that I know you played Riyadh last week, but you actually get a little bit of a break before Oz that you can actually celebrate. So that's nice.
Yeah, I mean, it was a shame we obviously went straight to Saudi, because we literally went straight onto the plane as after the press conference in Morocco. So I didn't really, and I didn't even get a glass of champagne or anything. So, and then we went to a dry country, so I didn't have anything to celebrate with. So it's been and obviously you're kind of not necessarily in the same frame of mind after having got that win, starting that tournament week, and obviously it was a pretty big week, so it was kind of disappointing that was followed, but equally I would have taken the win in Morocco to start with. So yeah.
Yeah, nice. And final one from me, with it being the first event of the year to win, does that change your mindset at all now for the rest of the season? Obviously, I knew you would have come into this year wanting the win, but now you've got it. So, I guess kind of what's next? How do you look at the season?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't feel like I want to slow down, but I've obviously still got a bit of a wrist injury, so I need to be
Okay.
very aware of that for this season. I don't want to push it so much so that I'm having to take events off because of the wrist. So uh, I think it's allowed me to really look at my schedule and think, right, what events I want to target, what courses I really want to play, what suits me. Because what I have learned is especially in Morocco, that course really really suits me. It's tight, it's narrow, greens are super quick and slopey, and that's kind of my game. It's a second shot golf course, so keep yourself in play, and it's an approach shot golf course. And if my irons are dialed in, which it's usually the best part of my game, my iron play. So I've kind of come from that thinking, right, well, let's look at the other golf courses for the rest of the year, and what sort of is similar to that, that I can make sure that I'm not overdoing it with my wrist, really. And
And you
obviously
meant,
the open actually as well.
Yeah, that's a
that
big one now.
yeah.
um, that obviously is a massive relief, because I played Walton Heath in 2023, and having qualified just from the LET rankings, and it was the best experience I have ever had on a golf course. It was the most amazing week. It was so much fun. I had such a great time, and because of that, I so wanted to do it again. And knowing it was St Andrews in 2024, all I was thinking about from January was playing St Andrews. I was not thinking about anything else other than playing that golf tournament. And each week, I put more and more pressure on myself. Right, I need to be here because I need to get in the top 10 on the rankings to get into the Open. Like each week, I was like, need to do this, need to do this. I need to have this finished. And it wasn't the right mindset. It wasn't the correct way of thinking. And I didn't qualify for the Scottish Open where I had a chance. I was in the mix basically until the final round. So I kind of messed that up again. And then the qualifier on the Monday, I bogeyed two of my last two. I bogeyed 17 and 18 to get into a playoff. So I should have been in the Open through that as well. So it was a really traumatic experience, that, and I feel like my sort of mind really let that go last year for St Andrews. So I had never wanted that to happen again, and I've learned a lot from my experience last year with that mentally. So obviously I don't need to think about that now, even though I have learned from it. So even if it wasn't the case, I wouldn't have treated it the same. But yeah, I'm just super happy that I'm going to be playing at Porthcawl in
Yeah. Have you played it before?
I have played it once before, yeah, because I went to Cardiff Uni. We
Of
had
course, yeah.
a match there. I think it was against Swansea Uni or something like that. But I think it was in the depths of winter, and it was pretty grim. But I've heard a lot of great things about it, that it's a true links course, which I love. So I think that's perfect for me, really.
Nice. And you kept mentioning we for Morocco because it was you and you had Seb, your fiance, on your back. We know that he doesn't get to come out to every tournament because he has a job as well. But what was it like having him for the first 2 weeks of the season?
Yeah, it was really nice. We sort of were looking at it, and he couldn't really take the time off to come to Australia. So we thought, well, why don't you do the first two? And he likes to come to the Saudi Arabia ones with me. So we thought, well, if you could do Morocco and Saudi, that'd be like quite a nice start. And then I'm obviously going away, so at least we will have been together for that sort of first period of the season. And he's done a reasonable amount of events with me because I haven't had a full-time caddy for a while. But yeah, it was just nice to have him. He's very relaxed. He likes to say how he feels. So it's sort of trying to get that dynamic. But I think we've done pretty good so far. But it's just nice to have someone with you that you're close with, that you can celebrate with, and really happy that he was there.
I was going to say, what is that like? I've been on the bus with you before when you've both been there and he's just on his phone or when you're talking. And obviously you have lunch together. Yeah, how do you kind of keep it between golf and off the course?
Exactly, yeah, that's probably the trickiest part, and I think we would never really do it full time. I don't think it would work, because we both have lots of different things going on in our lives. He's obviously got his job that he's really passionate about, so he would never want to leave that anyway. But it's really nice that he's able to be able to take the time off, but he still has to kind of work on the go when he's with me. So I'll have to accept that he'll be not necessarily, when he's off the golf course, he might be a little distant and needs to get on with his stuff, which I've got used to, and I understand.
Absolutely. And I mentioned he's your fiance. You got engaged a couple of years ago. Have we finally set a date for the wedding, Cara? Have we decided on when that's going to be happening?
It's going to be December 2025, so this December. So yeah, still got lots of planning to do. We're actually building a house as well at the same time, so it's going to be a big year. But I'm trying to stay out of it and focus on my golf.
So what a start to the year. A win on tour plus all of that going on.
I know, yeah, it's going to be busy.
It's always wedding season in like December, isn't it, for our tour players? Yeah.
I mean,
the only gap.
There's no other time. Yeah. No other time.
And you mentioned obviously you're going to Australia next. Now I know your sister lives out there, so it'll be a bit of a family occasion like it was last year, where you'll have your parents and your sister alongside you. Just what's that like, being able to visit her and see her and have everybody there?
Yeah, it's so nice to be able to go and visit her. My parents are flying out as well. My mum's not too happy about taking a month off work. I think she's had a few raised eyebrows about that. But my dad absolutely loves coming, loves watching me play, and he doesn't get to watch me very much. So it's great for him to be able to. I think he'll probably be on the bag as well, depending, rather than having a local. So I think it would be nice to spend time together. I think my sister and her boyfriend are going to come watch the first event, so I'm going to have a few followers for the first event, and then she lives in Sydney, so she just has to fly up to Brisbane, but she's sort of using it as a bit of a holiday. I think they're going to go to Noosa for a few days and sort of relax. But yeah, it'd be so nice to have all that time together, because it's not very often we're all together.
You just mentioned your mum there. I'll just bring her up because I know that you had a very special ceremony. What was it, 18 months ago now? Can't remember. But obviously your mum got awarded with an honour from the palace. So just talk us through that story for people that don't know that.
Yeah, so she's a scientist, a very successful scientist, and she got the last honours from the Queen, actually, just before she died. So, well, I guess it's called a knighthood, but a female knighthood. So she became a dame, and she was knighted by the king in the ceremony at Windsor Castle, which was absolutely amazing. I mean, it was, and we were, right up close there with her. So it was a really special moment. And, she's a big inspiration to me because she really, she works so hard and she's so passionate about what she does. And, um, you know, for the whole time that I can remember, she's just been at it, at it, at it, and really focused. Doesn't take anything that she just is laser focused on what she wants to do and what she wants to achieve. And I think I've taken that into my golf, and kind of following her footsteps with would love to be as successful as she's been in her field. And I don't think she's slowing down anytime soon. So yeah, it's great to watch her be, absolutely ace it as a woman as well, and in a very male dominated field in science. So it's really nice to see her do so well.
Yeah, that is really cool. They must have been absolutely buzzing when you got the win then. I mean, what was was it a phone call, or how's that?
Oh, I think they were following obviously on the app.
Yeah.
My dad was, and my mum had actually gone out. I think she'd gone for like a walk or something. Like she wasn't really, not that she wasn't interested, but she was kind of, just doing regular Saturday, I think a walk around the village or whatever. And apparently, as she's walking up the driveway, my dad's standing there shouting, "She's won! She's won! She's won!" So I think my mum was completely couldn't believe it, to be honest. But I think my dad was, yeah, he follows closely, so I think it was really special for him to see me finally get over the line.
Yeah, let's stick on that because I had the pleasure of meeting your dad when me and Callan came to visit you to film a documentary, which if you haven't seen it, go on our YouTube and take a watch. But obviously it wasn't always golf for you. You played a lot of tennis growing up, and when we went to your house, the amount of records and stats and that your dad keeps, and I presume it's the same with golf through the years, was pretty insane to see. I know he's absolutely loves it. So let's just go back then, because you didn't start golf till very late, and it all could have been different. As I said, you like tennis, so just explain a little bit about your story, because it's not your conventional route to the LET, let's say.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit of a different route. Something that I wouldn't change actually at all. But I was playing tennis for a long time from a young age. My first sport, my first love, basically, and I playing pretty competitively, very competitive level up until I was, I'd say, 14ish. And I think my dad could kind of tell it was maybe I wasn't maybe transitioning into the professional game as how I wanted. I think he took me to some junior camps or something, to try something else or do something in something else, really, just away from tennis. And I picked that up and played golf and tennis for a few years together at the same time. Still trying to focus on the tennis, but it was clearly not going necessarily the way that I wanted. And then I went to University of Cardiff, did my degree, played golf alongside that, but I would say more in a social way. The golf team was very much about the evenings, um, so it was very much about it wasn't about the golf basically, but it was a great atmosphere and it was a great team, and I really enjoyed my time at university. Met friends for life. So it wasn't the college route, I guess, that most people on tour have done and got that experience, which I didn't have. I didn't play amateur golf properly until I graduated, and I said to my mum that I wanted to do a gap year once I graduated to play golf, and she was a bit kind of, really? I mean, like, why? Because I think I was off 2 handicap, so it was kind of random that I wanted to pursue that.
At the end
And
of college, at the end of uni, you were two.
I was two, yeah, I was off two.
Yeah.
Which, at that point, my competitors are off about, +6, +5 at that point. So there, I'm way, way behind. I'm not even getting in. I didn't even get into like the Spanish amateur and stuff like that. at that point. So my back was obviously against the wall, but I really put a lot of work in that first year. Played all the amateur events that I could play, all the English stuff. And then in the back end of that year, I won the English match play, which was a complete surprise. I mean, I'd come completely out of nowhere, beating, the England team players that I hadn't even heard of, and they certainly hadn't heard of me. So that was a real eye opener. And then I kind of got advanced onto the England program, did another year with England through their training programs, went to Australia, went to all of the international events with England. And then I decided to turn pro, which was a bit of a risky move, maybe, because it wasn't really certain how I would I kick on, would I not? Because I mean, I lacked a lot of experience in competition. I just hadn't played tournaments like everyone else. I hadn't been in those big stages like everyone else for long periods of time. So, you're not necessarily far behind, maybe technically and things like that, but you're very far behind on scoring and winning and playing tournaments, and which I think is really important. And when people actually ask me about their kids or their little girls or anything like that, I say try and get them to play as much as possible. Just get out on the course and play all those junior competitions on the weekends, because that's where I felt I had to catch up, because I hadn't played.
Yeah. But what did you turn pro at what, scratch handicap, or were you plus at that point?
I was plus, yeah. I was plus.
Yeah.
By the time I turned pro, I would think I was plus 3. I think my best was plus 3. So
yeah, having started at 14 without a handicap, without having played. I mean, how do you like? And you mentioned there, without perhaps the lack of competition that you, in hindsight, would have liked. So, how do you fast track that quick, like from 14 to then early 20s, plus 3, plus 4? Like, how is it? Just hours of practice, or how do you get to that level in such a quick time?
Yeah, I think I put obviously a lot of hours and a lot of dedication. And once I'm focused on something, I really do put my full energy into it. And obviously, naturally, coming from a tennis background, naturally I was able to hit the ball. Naturally, I had a lot of speed. Naturally, I had a lot of power and strength. So I think my golf coach, I mean, I credit him massively to everything, really. He's been absolutely amazing throughout my short career. He, I think, saw something in me and gave me a lot of time and a lot of dedication, and really thought, this girl could get better, and this girl could be a professional and a top player. So getting myself organized and getting myself in good habits, good environment that's around me. The golf club had a lot of top players. So Rob, who coaches at the golf club, he's the England men's coach, and was the England boys coach. So he had a lot of players that came to the club that I could practice with. We created quite a tight, boys, all boys, quite a close group of people where we could go out in the evenings, play against each other. I was playing off the white tees, trying to keep up with them. And I think it's, a product of your environment, really, that kind of sped me on as much as I did.
Yeah. So it isn't always going to be golf, because I know you studied geography, right?
Yeah. I still love geography.
Yeah.
So do I.
You did it, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was history, so kind of similar, but yeah, good stuff.
And then Cara, so once you turned pro, you obviously played on the Access series in the strange COVID year. What was that like?
Yeah, so obviously turned pro at a pretty dreadful time, not knowing that obviously COVID was just about to hit. So that was a real difficult year for me, because I think I was really ready. I kind of felt I was obviously a bit older, and I really wanted to start quickly. And then all of a sudden, I'm sat at home sunbathing with a net in my garden and hitting a few balls into a net for months and months. And it definitely got me down a bit. And I thought, is this the right thing to do? My housemates are all on their laptops working away, getting paid, and I'm sat here with really no idea of what the future is going to hold. And we were quite lucky to have that Justin Rose series in the summer of that year, at where I was able to play against, Georgia Hall, Charlie Hull, and really see where my game was at through those series. And that was amazing. Really, just to get us out and get us competing. And then we were able to play on the Access Tour. So I think we only played maybe 6 events. I think it was maybe a third of the schedule basically. But I got off to a really, really good start. I think I had a second in one of them, and I won Rookie of the Year. So, well, Rookie of the Year for the third of the season that we had.
6 events, yeah.
But it was great to really get out and also see if I like the lifestyle as well, because that's also what I hadn't done. I hadn't been traveling around much with a team. I hadn't really traveled around with college, so I hadn't experienced going away and being in foreign countries playing golf, really. So that sort of 3 or 4 months was important. I think that showed me, okay, well, I think I can get onto the LET through the Access. I think I'm good enough to play on the main tour if I just keep going. And I don't mind the travel. I see it more of as a job anyway, not as much of a lifestyle thing. So I sort of crack on and get on with it.
And then, as you say, you played more LET events in 2021 and bettered your status, and you've basically just been doing that ever since that point.
Yeah, exactly.
And we spoke about it last week, but yeah, when you kind of came to prominence for the first time was in Belgium in 2022, where it was head-to-head, kind of you and Lynn Grant came down to the final stretch. Just what was that like, being in that position for the first time?
I mean, yeah, it was pretty crazy because I remember the cameras suddenly rushing towards me, which I had never experienced cameras before at that point. So I'd never realized how close they actually get and how much they're in your space, and they're in your eye line. I mean, they're standing directly behind you. So usually people behind you are like, oh, can you, if it's spectators and stuff, you say move, can you move out the way? But obviously you can't do that with a TV camera. So it was definitely something which was a big experience for me. But I actually absolutely loved it. I just remember thinking, this is so cool. This is what an opportunity this is. I mean, obviously now Lynn Grant, she's an absolute world-class player. So at the time she was starting her professional career as well. So to go head to head against her and not quite get over the line, but it was a big eye opener. I think really showed me or told me that I can compete on this tour. I'm good enough to play on this tour, and I'm good enough to win on this tour. And I think from that point I've sort of had the mindset of, well, obviously that I want to win, and I want to win many times. So I think from then I kind of knew that this wasn't a poor choice of career. This was because I think my parents were always, at the end of the day, you need to make money, right? You need to live. So you need to be able to have a career that's financially rewarding. And it's a tough life that we have. And if you have a bad week, you make nothing, you lose money. So it's a really difficult life. And if it's a choice, if it's a big choice and a big sacrifice to make to do what we do. And I think from then was when I realized that this is really what I want to do.
Nice. You mentioned Walton Heath previously as one of your favourite events, but are there any other standout moments that have happened on tour?
I mean, obviously Germany was a real amazing event. I played so good that week. Probably one of the best weeks I've played. Tee to green and putting, actually everything. The whole game was really there, and it's something that even though I lost, it's something I look back quite fondly on, because of how I acted and how I reacted as well to how Christina was also playing. It was because it was kind of a match play, because no one else was. I mean, Diksha was in there, but she sort of faded away towards the end. But I think I look back on it kind of quite proudly, and how I didn't let what was happening on her side affect how I was playing, which I think was important, important lesson to take away from that tournament. Despite really feeling like I should have won it, I'm still very happy for Christina. She's a great player and really nice girl, and she's forever been great to me and really kind to me. So I do look back on that tournament with a lot of good memories.
You mentioned Christina there. We'll just go through some your friends on tour. I know you friends with lots of different people that when you celebrated in Morocco, April and Patricia ran on with the water. Just talk me through some of those friendships.
Yeah, so I travel predominantly with Patricia. I have done for pretty much the whole of last year. So sort of from middle 2023, I'd say I've been predominantly sharing with her. We're pretty similar personalities, I'd say. She's super focused, and she actually practices more than me. She's a harder worker than me. I actually have to slow her down. So I think we kind of bounce off quite well together. She's very organized, which is helpful for me because I'm not very organized. I leave things very much to the last minute, whereas she is a bit more on top of things. So as a travel partner, we work quite well. And yeah, I've been close to April for a while now. I picked her in my team in Singapore, 2023.
Yeah.
Which was the first time I was a captain, and I was so excited because, like, to be a captain, you think then, you're a captain, you're one of the better players on the tour now. So in world ranking, so you think, oh, it's quite special, and everyone, no one had heard of her, and people were sort of, chatting about her name, and I thought, let's give it a go. I'm sure she seems like a great person, great player, and we played on that team. I think it was our first LET event or something like that, and we had such a great week. And I think she's such a great person, so kind, and a proper player. I mean, she's a real ball striker, and she's young, so she's got plenty of time to learn her craft, and I definitely think she's one to watch out for in the future. She just needs to iron out a few things in a game, but she's so talented.
Yeah, I think she's like next on one of the list of best players not to have won, which not to put pressure on you, Cara, but I think you held that position for a little bit in the last year.
I think there are a few players actually that are on the cusp of winning, actually, who you would look at and think, well, they're really good players. They should have won. But as I know, it's very difficult to win, and at the minute the tour is getting so strong. I mean, each year it's getting better and better. The level of competition is now ridiculous. I mean, the standard is, compared to when I started the tour, which wasn't even very long ago, 3-4 years ago, the standard has just absolutely rocketed. It's completely different. And you've got to play well now to keep your card. I mean, you've got to be a good, solid player to finish in that top 70. Which I personally didn't think it was like that 3 or 4 years ago. So it just shows the level of people that are wanting to play on the European tour, and whether it's because they don't want to play on the Epsom tour, or they prefer to play in Europe, or it's closer to home, or whatever. But it does show how strong the tour is getting because of, we're playing for more money. You can make a living on this tour now. There are routes to other tours through the LET. So I think it's really exciting time.
Yeah, let's stick on that then, Cara, because as I say, you've got a whole year ahead of you now. Do you look at things like the order of merit? Do you give yourself goals in terms of, I want to finish here, I want to finish this high? Of course, you want to play in the majors, you want to win as many tournaments as you can, but how do you actually go about setting those targets?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's now slightly different because I already have 500 points, having played 2 events, so it's a real boost to start the year. So I don't think my goals really necessarily changed. Obviously, my first goal going into the year was to win, and I've already ticked that off. So now my next goal is to win again, really. The Order of Merit is important because you can obviously potentially get to the LPGA through that, which I'm thinking about as a possibility. Whether that is something I want to do, I don't know, but it's certainly an opportunity that I don't want to, not properly focus on, basically. So yeah, the Order of Merit is important. I would love to finish in the top 5 on the Order of Merit. I mean, I would love to win the Order of Merit, given you lifetime status on the tour. So I'd say it's a goal, but I'm not. I don't want to focus on it really. I want to take each tournament as it comes. I'm not going to be playing 28 events like some girls. So it's just I just can't, basically. I don't want to play 28 events and I can't with my wrist. So I'm not going to be up there every week. So I need to make sure that I'm really focused and play and get those top finishes in the events that I do play.
Yeah. How is the wrist feeling then? Because I know that was something that for you, what was it, like 2023, the summer? I remember in Ireland, you kind of had it taped up and then you took a little bit of a time off. And that was after that. I mean, that month you had where it was like, let's say, Germany, was it Czech?
Yeah, it was like 3
Unbelievable
top
golf.
5s in 4 weeks, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, to then kind of get an injury. How was, I guess, mentally more than anything, having maybe a little bit of time on the sidelines? How was that for you? And how do you think, I mean, was it kind of helpful in some ways to sit back and have a bit of time off, or how do you look at it? And how is it, of course, feeling now?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's been an absolute pain for a year and a half. Well, yeah, a year and a half basically. And I still not really got to the bottom of it, which is most frustrating. But yeah, I had a cyst in my wrist in 2023, which basically caused I had to get it removed. So then I had to take some time off at the end of 2023 when I was playing so good and I was really getting on a really great run. So that was I was on course to finish in top 10 on the rankings there, and I wasn't able to get that over the line. So that was a shame because of an injury. But then in 2020, I then obviously had an injection. It felt quite good for a while. Then in May 2024, it started hurting again. So I had a lot of tests and things like that. The cyst hadn't come back, but basically there's been like a thickening of my joint capsule of where the cyst was, which basically creates a lot of inflammation. And I kind of had on and off pain pretty much the whole of 2024. Had an MRI, and there's nothing wrong with my bones and my tendons. It's just this inflammation. Basically, any kind of flexion in my wrist, which I repeat and repeat and repeat, basically causes this thickening of my joint. So it's something that I could have surgery, but it's not really. I'd have to take 3 to 6 months off. It's not really something that I want if I can manage it. And the managing it is like the most important part. So there's a lot of exercises, a lot of basically icing it, get the inflammation down as soon as I finish playing, and not overdoing it really. So it's always on my mind, and it causes a lot of anxiety, as does anyone else's injury as well. So it's not ideal. I would prefer to play without it. But I know I'll have to live with it now, and there's nothing really that I can do to make it better.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a case, as you said, picking your schedule, picking it wisely, not playing every event. How's your year looking? You've got that lovely luxury now, you've won, so you really can just pick and choose the events you want to go to. Australia, the Open you've mentioned, two great events in their own right. Where else are you going to be heading this year? What else are you looking forward to?
Do you know what? I'm really looking forward to Tenerife. That's gonna be, yeah. I'm just thinking.
Yeah, we are. I'm not going to
I've
lie.
never been to Tenerife. I think the weather will be great, and it's nice to have a new event, I think, and go to somewhere different that we've not been to before. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. And the Scottish Open, I actually love. I know the weather is usually awful, but I
Like
really
Riyadh.
Yeah,
What was going on?
I know.
I wasn't there. Put it on TV, and everyone's wearing beanies and
We've
everyone's
only
got
just
umbrellas
had
up. I
those.
was like, what?
I know. It's actually warmer here in England.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
So yeah,
So
the Scottish. Yeah.
yeah, the Scottish, I'm really looking forward to. I usually have my mum and dad come up and my coach come to that one as well. So that's always a nice feel, a nice atmosphere to have all of them there. And I enjoy playing in Scotland. I really enjoy playing links golf. So I always feel like the worse the weather or the harder the conditions, the more wind or the harder the golf course actually really benefits me. I don't think I'm necessarily going to win on a course that is wide, big, not much going on. It's and as people say, it's kind of horses for courses because everyone's game is different. I mean, obviously, I'd like to win on those kind of courses, and you never know. Might have a putting week of my life. Um, but I do feel like the harder the course and the harder the condition kind of benefits me. And that's how I've seen over the last few years. I can see I've usually had better results on trickier courses or worse weather conditions. I don't know why that is, whether it's just my crazy mentality likes to just enjoy pain, and I don't know. But I kind of go into a different zone. I feel like I get into a right, this is super narrow, or this wind's howling wind, like how am I gonna make par? Like it's like a challenge for me, and I really enjoy that kind of challenge rather than it's nice and sunny, no wind, middle of the fairway. Sort of, I maybe don't have the same focus, which I can try and create, but it's very difficult.
Yeah. Manon de Roy always says the same. Like, loves it. Windier the better.
Yeah,
More difficult the better. So it's quite
yeah.
refreshing to hear.
I feel like the wind. I mean, especially having grown up on quite a windy course, I feel like a lot of players, not that they can't play in wind, but they're they're more challenged. It's more of a challenge for them to play in wind. Whereas I feel like I kind of have got those shots that I know how to hit those shots now, and I know how to flight the ball, and just from practicing really in those kind of conditions. So maybe the Europeans that have nicer weather all year round are really struggle on in conditions like that. Whereas I think because I'm used to it and I've learned how to really nail those knockdown shots now, I kind of prefer when there's a bit of hell.
Good stuff. So, Cara, the rest of the week, what are you up to? You got your big celebration party, I guess, on the weekend, and then fly to Oz pretty soon after, I guess.
Yeah, I'm going a little early to spend a few days in Noosa with my sister and my family. So I'm actually
Hmm.
flying out Tuesday next week. So yeah, this week I'm just starting my practice today. So I've had a few days off, see my friends, went to London, did a bit of shopping, relaxed really for a few days, and yeah, back to practice the next 3 days. See my coach, see my Pilates coach. So I'm just get back to a bit of a routine for a few days. Get back to my sort of blueprint practice plan. Ready for Australia, and then I need to pack as well.
Yeah. Well,
Heavy
it's
pack.
going to be sunnier than Riyadh, touch wood. So
I
we'll
know. I'm
see.
hoping it's going to be lovely, and I'm hoping we're not going to get that terrible rain that we had in Bonneville last year.
Yeah, let's not talk about that. Bad.
No.
I've got factor 50 at the ready, so it's going to be hot. Not
Yeah,
good.
me too.
Are you on a flight like that? Are you a sleeper or do you watch films?
Uh, I try to sleep, but I'm just not very good sleeping. Certainly sitting up. I'm just not really a fan of those small seats. um,
Yeah.
but it is what it is, and I'll get through it somehow. I think I actually haven't watched Love Island at all, so
Oh, this
what
one's been so good.
Binge the whole
I
thing.
thought, do you know what? I'm going to download I've been waiting. I'm going to download the whole thing. I'm going to watch the whole thing on the flight because I mean I actually know who's won because I see it on Instagram, or whatever. But it's quite easy entertainment. I mean, I used to watch it back in the day. I don't really watch it anymore, but I'm sure it will be easy watching for a 24-hour flight.
That was exactly my thing this year. I think I'd watched it since like 2019. It's so
Yeah,
good.
I
Chuck it
know.
on in the
Well,
evening. It's like perfect background noise.
that's the thing. I mean,
Yeah.
it is easy watching, but it is a lot of trash. But you know, trash is sometimes fine when you
Isn't there
get.
an Australian Love Island as well?
Yeah.
I don't know, but do you know what is good? Married at First Sight.
Married at First Sight Australian is
Yeah, the
elite.
Australia one.
Elite.
Don't watch the English one, but the
No.
Married at First Sight Australia is top notch.
The drama from this year,
Yeah.
another level.
So if you want to download that for the plane, I recommend.
Right, that's me sorted. Good stuff. Cara, we won't leave you much longer then. I'm glad we waited actually. Nicola kept saying we need to get Cara on the podcast, and I kept saying no, we got to wait till she wins because it wasn't like, if it was always when with you. And you finally got it over the line, and it was worth the wait. And yeah, one of the most popular winners we've seen. So massive congratulations again on winning in Morocco.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so excited and happy to have started the year so great. And yeah, I feel like the games I've gone back to in my swing, I've kind of changed a few things. I've gone back to how I was swinging it in 2023. I've gone back to my old irons as well. So there's a few things that I can see a lot of hints from my game that was when it was really at its peak. So it's an exciting time.
Yeah, long may it continue. Cara, thanks again for joining us. Enjoy Love Island. Enjoy your celebration party. And yeah, I'll see you out in Australia. Have a nice few days before. And I'll see you down under.
Perfect. Look forward to it. Thank you.